What is up, guys? My name is Rob Donaldson, and today we are back with episode number 189 of Rob's Best Bets. And as always, you can find me on X, formerly Twitter, at RobDFB. And if you do want more content like this in the future, please hit that like and subscribe button because it really does help me out a ton. And any retweets, any shares, always appreciate that too. I really appreciate it, guys. Showed a lot of love to the videos I posted yesterday, and so, you know, if the love is there, I'm going to continue to post. I get a lot of gratification out of doing this for sure. So, with all that being said, before we jump into the picks, I just want to give a massive shout out to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring today's video. And if you do want to get involved with the pick'em videos that we do on this channel during baseball season, or if you just want to take part in some of their daily contests, head over there and use my promo code ROBDFB. And they will match your first $100 up to 100%. And in this episode, y'all, we are talking about NCAA Tournament futures. And obviously last season we had a really great tournament run when we had teams like San Diego State doing really well, and Michigan State and Gonzaga really pulling in a lot of wins for us and making us a lot of dough along the way. We also had a couple duds in terms of, you know, Kent State and a couple other teams mixed in there as well. But at the same time, these futures give us a lot of leverage options, and we just had an amazing conference tournament stretch because of these futures, and I think this is going to be another pivotal part of our money-making process to end the college basketball season. So let's hop right into these picks. All right, to kick things off, we are going to start out in the East region, and in the East region, we are going to be taking a look at that 8-9 matchup between Florida Atlantic and Northwestern, and I really like taking these angles of just bet on both teams to kind of make a Sweet 16/Elite 8 run. And the reason why I like that is because we often see 8 and 9 seeds upset a 1 seed. And if you can get that upset pull, one, it's just a nice payout for you in terms of just the outright winner there. But it also gives you a lot of leverage for the following round as well. And I really do think Florida Atlantic is the better of the two teams, and so I'm going to be going a little bit heavier on them here with my future bets, but I also like Northwestern in the spot as well. And as we head down the bracket a little bit further, we're going to find a matchup between Yale and Auburn. And if you saw my picks video yesterday that I put out, I took Yale on the outright money line against Auburn, and that's a bet that I feel pretty confident in as well. And with Yale, you know, if we are taking them to win that first round and make it to the round of 32, they're going to be drawing either UAB or San Diego State. And I think there's a good chance it could be UAB. And regardless, I think that they're going to be live against both those teams. And at the very least, we are going to have a very tight spread where we can bet the money line for either UAB or San Diego State and guarantee double-digit profit. You know, that's something that I'm very interested in. I'm very interested in this Yale team just making a run, period. And so let's take Yale for 1.5 units to make the Sweet 16 at plus 1,500 and be really happy about it. And as we work down one more tier, we're going to find Drake going up against Wazoo. And Drake is one of the most talented 10 seeds in this tournament. I could make the argument that they are equivalent to a team like Clemson, who's drawing a 6 seed in this tournament. And for that reason, there's a lot of inherent value on betting them just every single game straight up and also placing some future wagers on them as well. And yes, they do have Iowa State immediately after this game in the event that they win it. And I'm not discounting South Dakota State, but let's be real here. More than likely, Iowa State's going to be that draw in the round of 32. That said, you know, upsets do happen, but even against Iowa State, Drake is potentially going to be live in that game. That's a in-state rivalry matchup. Those campuses are very, very close to each other, and I think Drake has the talent to make an Elite 8 run here as well. So let's take them to make the Sweet 16 at plus 650, and let's also take them to make the Elite 8 at plus 1,400 here to round out the East region. All right, next up here, we're going to be heading out to the West region, and in that West region, I am staring down a team in New Mexico going up against Clemson in round 1, and that's one of my favorite bets of round 1 just from a one-off game. That said, I do kind of worry about New Mexico hitting a wall in that round of 32, and Baylor is a tough team to kind of go up against in the event of hitting that wall. And I really don't buy into Colgate being a team that can pull an upset against that Baylor squad. So I do think that second round matchup is going to be New Mexico going up against Baylor. That said, guard play wins in March, and New Mexico has a handful of great guards. And so let's take New Mexico to reach the Sweet 16 at plus 250. And for an extra unit, let's take them to also reach the Elite 8, because I do think that's a favorable draw at the bottom there once they kind of get through that muck. And as we work down the tiers in this bracket, let's go to that 5-12 matchup between Grand Canyon and St. Mary's. And this is my favorite future in the entire NCAA tournament, and I'll tell you why. One, I think Grand Canyon is very, very live against St. Mary's in round 1. I think this is going to be one of the 12-5 upsets that does come to fruition, and I think Grand Canyon could potentially even blow them out in round 1. And when you're looking at the round of 32, their draw is either going to be Alabama or Charleston. And why is that significant? Well, Alabama is a team that at any given point in any game can go very, very flat because they are very jump shot reliant. This is a neutral court atmosphere. And on the other side, Charleston 1 is very, very similar, but also if Charleston does spring an upset against Alabama in round 1 and Grand Canyon is also there, we are getting plus 600 on the money line for Grand Canyon going up against Charleston, and we are leveraging an 18 unit payout because we're risking 3 units here. And so when you're talking about a Grand Canyon Charleston matchup, that's going to be very, very close to a pick'em regardless of what happens in round 1, and that gives us a ton of leverage to leverage that 18 units that's waiting for us on the other side in the Sweet 16. So let's go with Grand Canyon getting to the Sweet 16 for 3 units for the last pick in our East region. All right, next up, we are heading down to the South region where we have Texas A&M going up against Nebraska. And this is a matchup that I think is going to be a ton of fun because they both have great guards. And when you have great guards, you are alive in March. And one of these teams will be advancing to the round of 32 to take on most likely Houston. And Houston is a team that can sometimes fall a little bit flat. We saw that in the Big 12 championship game that they can be susceptible. And for that reason, I honestly think that both Texas A&M and Nebraska are both live in the round of 32 going up against Houston. And with Texas A&M, I think they could even make an Elite 8. So those are going to be our 2 bets, and our 3 bets rather, in the South region. And we are going to leave it at that and move on to the final region in the NCAA tournament. And with that last region, it is going to be the Midwest region. And last night on Twitter, we posted some futures already for this region involving the play-in game that's happening right now as I'm recording this video. But Virginia, Colorado State, I like them both to make potential Sweet 16 runs and potential even Elite 8 runs. And so we sprinkled a little bit on both there. And as we shift our focus to another game in round 1 in this region, we're taking a look at McNeese going up against Gonzaga. And if you know me and if you saw my picks video yesterday, you know that I'm pretty high on this Gonzaga team in the NCAA tournament every single year. This has been one of my cash cows. And once again, I think they're going to win round 1 and advance to the round of 32. And why is that significant? Well, it just came out today that Kevin McCullough for Kansas is going to be missing the entire NCAA tournament. And as the 4 seed, that's the most likely draw for Gonzaga in the next round. Now, they could also get Samford, but if they get Samford, I absolutely love that matchup for Gonzaga. It's going to be a fireworks fest, and that's the type of ball game I want the Zags in. And so, let's take Gonzaga to make the Sweet 16 for 3 units, and for 2 additional units, let's take Gonzaga to make the Elite 8, and I could really be talked into a Final Four, potentially even a championship type run from this Zags team. That said, if they do make the Final Four, if they do make a championship run, we can bet those games individually. We don't need to get over-invested in a single team, and that's been my kind of philosophy with these futures year in and year out. Once it gets that late in the tournament, I don't mind just betting individual games rather than taking these long shots that never really pay out. So let's go ahead and take Gonzaga to round out our NCAA tournament futures. And man, it's going to be an exciting tournament. Hopefully we can leverage some of these to some really nice payouts. And as always, y'all, I really appreciate you checking out the video, and be sure to drop a like, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and definitely drop a comment down below. Always love seeing those. It really does fill me with a little sense of gratification for putting this work in. And as always, y'all, I will see you in a future video. Take it easy.